Welcome to another episode of Talking with Kevin and Son, featuring the people you should know. Hi, I'm Kevin McLemore. I am your show host. I am a mentor, a four-time published author, and some of my friends call me a mindset messenger. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Today's show, our new sponsor, The Borough, at 149 East Lancaster Avenue. Hey, it's a wonderful place. I'm going to tell you, it's got three levels. One for upscale sports bar on the first level, the other upscale fine dining, and then they got a room where you can dance and listen to live music too. And if you tell them that you've heard about the borough in Downingtown from Kevin McLemore and Talking with Kevin and Son, I want you to say hello to my good friends over there, TJ O'Brien, Keith Crittenley, and yes, believe it or not, he used to be my show host, my co-host. He still is. My son is the executive chef over there, Theo McLemore. Hey, just check him out and tell him I sent you. Our mission in this show is to give you power to your voice, inspire, share stories and experiences, and create a framework around teaching, learning, and modeling. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every day. Today's guest is a man who embodies leadership, mentorship, and the spirit of perseverance. Yeah, I'm talking about Charles F. Moore III. I mean, so good to his family. They had to keep the name going on.
Uh,
Charles is not just a celebrated athlete, he is a former Vanderbilt University standout, state champion, the team's MVP. But the real impact that extends far beyond the basketball court. He is also the dean of students at a Chester County Intermediate Unit school and a co-founder of the celebrated basketball program, the Moore's Brothers Basketball. He has shaped young lives through discipline, compassion, and purpose. From the hardwoods to the hallways, from a player to a coach, from mentor to educator, from husband to father, Charles has made it his life's mission to build leadership both on and off the court. In his words, life goes far beyond the game of basketball. It goes beyond leadership, creates legacy and life, and the life lessons by Charles Moore. Charles, I just want to welcome you to Talking with Kevin and Son. How you doing, my brother?
Now, Kev, I'm gonna say this. Now, my friends call me Chuck, and you certainly are one of my friends now.
All right, I
So,
just wanted to make sure. I grew up in a military family. Up until we get permission to call you by any other name than the name that's on your resume, I was going to call you Chuck anyway. I'm going to tell you that. I know people are going to hate me, be calling in and says, "How come you didn't call him by his legal name?" I said, "Because we're going to talk about him being the dean of students at an intermediate school in Downingtown. We're going to talk about him and his ongoing education at Westchester University. We're going to talk about him being a school counselor and graduate from Wilmington University and Vanderbilt. And we may even talk about, damn, this man has done a lot. Vanderbilt captain of his team. I didn't know you were a captain of your team. I know you're voted MVP, but I also know that in our club in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, the Lifetime. We got NBA players or ex-NBA players that come in. We got Billy Owens from Golden State Warriors. We got Alvin Williams from Toronto Raptors. We got players from Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions that come in the club. And guess what? Everybody stops by to shake Charles's hands. And believe it or not, I'm going to tell you folks, if it had not been for his knees not supporting his future in his basketball program, I probably wouldn't have been able to get this interview. He'll be on ESPN and every place else. So, Chuck, I'm going to call you Chuck.
yeah, yeah.
Let's go ahead and let people know about you because you got strong family values. You talk about education, leadership, mentorship, and giving back to the community. Tell us your story a little bit.
Well, first of all, I'm doing great, man. I know you asked me that a couple of minutes ago. I'm doing fine. And before I even get into my story, man, let me give you your flowers first, because you have been adamant about making sure that this happens, and I couldn't be more ecstatic to be on this podcast right now with you, man, because you may know it or you may not know it, but you have been an inspiration to me. Our small conversations at the gym, man, have carried over for some time now, and I'm appreciative of that, man. So I'm glad you got me on your show. You said it all. I don't know. I wish I could have you follow me around, man, and just tell my story all the time. You would
Man,
open a lot of doors for me.
Chuck, Mr. Charles Chuck Moore, however you want to call it. I've been mimicking you for the longest. For those of you that will ever have the honor of walking alongside or being in a room as he enters, I'm going to tell you, there's only one dude I'm going to say two dudes that has a cooler walk than you. One was Barack Obama. Denzel Washington. I've been trying to mimic your cool for the longest. You've just got cool written all over you and the way you say it, And then he's got this. I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen LL Cool J. You know how like when he says something, he licks his lip and he gives you that look.
There you go now, right?
LL stole it from Chuck. All right. So
Yeah.
father of two, I believe.
Yes. Three actually. Three.
Three. Oh yeah,
Three.
you're popping them out like popcorn.
I'm out, man. My oldest is 26. I have a 26-year-old. Her name is China. She is my heart, my firstborn. I was young, 19 at the time. And she helped me grow up very fast. Um, she is still local. She lives not too far from me now, so she's always popping up at the house. And one thing I learned, no matter how old they get, Kev, they still ain't daddy's pocket. She gonna ask me for a few dollars, man, without no hesitation every now and then. But because I love her so much, I'm happy to help her in any endeavor that she chases. And then I have two young ones. I started all over. I have a daughter who's turning 4 soon in February. Her name is Love. And my son is turning 2 in December. His name is Chance. So those are my heart, man. And obviously my wife, who I love to death, Emily, you got a chance to meet her as well. She has been heaven sent, man. And you talk about spiritual connection with somebody. That certainly is how me and her got together, man. And the minute I found that out, I went to go buy a ring so fast to make sure it was forever. And she happily said yes. But yeah, that's my family as a whole, man. And Kev, you said it all, man. If you when you talk about my resume, man, the things that I've done, just listening to you, it surrounds the youth, elementary to high school age kids, and it involves basketball. Um, and before I even hopped on the show, like Kevin's going to ask me what my passion was, how did I get involved in it. And I try to think about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I had a mother and a grandmother who were in education for over 30 years each. My mother, who's since retired, Dobbins High School, is currently back at Dobbins as a full-time substitute teacher. So our passion is still running to teach and educate kids. And then my dad put the basketball in my hand, man, when I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, and I've never let go of it. So you put the two together, man, it kind of exemplifies everything you talked about. A guy who's in education as a dean of students and, runs his own basketball program with his brother, Ronald, for the past 10 years now. So the two have been in marriage, man, my whole life. And it makes me happy. It makes me happy, Kev. I love doing it. I love educating. I love inspiring. I love talking to people like you, man, who always are thinking forwardly. How can we advance? How can we grow? And like I said, man, it's just been a blessing just to even be here and just have those things a part of my life.
Well, um, every podcaster out there is trying to get a celebrity on their show in order to get likes, follows, and comments and
Yeah.
be this way and that way and whatever. But when I created this show, I wanted to showcase people that everyone should know.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier on, from talking to Billy, Alvin, and some other NBA players that come into the club, they all say this one thing about you. Matter of fact, two things. First thing, they say that, you and your brother have the
Mhm.
best basketball program on the
Oh,
East Coast. The
that's awesome.
best. Everyone that's balling from New York all the way to Philly,
Yeah.
and some other places, they talk about the Morris program. You are delivering. I looked at the fact that how many people that Snoop Dogg has put in the NFL,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
mentorship program, and you're doing the same thing here on this end, and you're not asking for anything.
Right.
I told you before, 2 years from now, Philadelphia will have the WNBA, their own franchise team here. And I'm saying if anyone, Don Staley, anyone is listening to it, any of the investors, you're looking for a coach that is committed to a cause, someone that can make a difference, that can coach no matter how young or old.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I have Chuck on this show. All
Shoot,
right.
okay.
I'm putting you out there because you're too good to ask for an opportunity because you think it's just going to pop up, but you got to ask for it. So the first question I'm going to ask um, from you,
Okay.
for a player to purpose, when you went from being a D1 athlete to an educator and now a mentor and coach, what was the turning point in your life that shifted your focus from playing the game to now teaching the life lessons through the game?
Well, it's kind of a sad story, and I say that because my thrive or goal to reach the highest peak of basketball, came to an abrupt end when I had like my third knee surgery. Um, and I never forget that moment because I was actually overseas at the time. Let me back up. I'm sorry. Let me back up. My senior year at Vanderbilt, I had tore my meniscus in the preseason. And because I was so anxious to get back because it was my senior year, I kind of rushed the process. Like my knee wasn't completely healed. So I remember playing that season at probably an 80% clip, all my games. When the season was over, I then transitioned to kind of working out for select NBA teams. I actually had a tryout with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Sixers. But again, at an 80% clip, my knee wasn't quite healed. Um, I didn't get drafted. I ended up going overseas, Furstenfeld, Austria, to play basketball. And it was going well, still nursing my knee, kind of keeping it under wraps, not willing to tell anybody. But about a month and a half in, what they do overseas is they want to make sure that the product, like anything, is healthy. So they sent me to the doctor, which they do with everybody. They want to make sure there's nothing on my body that's causing me any friction, that I'm completely healthy. And they laid me out on the table, Kevin. I'm talking about you strip down to your underwear, man. They're looking at every part of your body to make sure there's no complications and worked their way down. They got to my knee. They did that little check that you might be familiar with to see if it clicks or
Yeah.
doesn't. There's some clicking going on. Um, I remember the doctor didn't speak English. He kind of said something in a different language to whoever was there with me at the time, and they sent me out the room. And by that evening, the general manager came to my hotel room and said, "We're sending you back home." Probably the most devastating and shocking news I wanted to hear, especially at that time. And I got sent back home. I had surgery here in PA. I'm on my mom's couch, my leg up on the couch on the ottoman, and I'm just thinking, okay, what am I do next? One of those moments where you kind of let, for me, rock bottom. Basketball's coming to an end or has ended, and I don't know what that next thing is for me to do. That's when, again, I mentioned earlier, I started thinking about, okay, Chuck, what are the other passions? What are you good at? And again, being around youth and watching my mom mentor and educate kind of was something I was like, okay, I think I can go in that direction. I decided to go back to school. That's when you see me get my counseling degree from Wilmington University. I was taking odd jobs in education, not landing the counseling job because I had to work towards it first to get it. I had to be certified to be in education. So I started working in high schools as one-on-one, as a mentor. I did some summer camps within local high schools and some colleges to stay around the game. But it wasn't until I landed my first job as the dean of students that I was finally involved in education. And then my brother, who was an 11-year pro overseas, he comes back home. He said, "What do you think about us starting our own company?" And I was a little reluctant and hesitant. I'm like, I don't know. But he was, pressuring me about it. Look, I think we can do this. I think we have a name that's grounded locally. And locally, I mean in this Plymouth meeting area. So I think we can kind of grow something. He was coming off of his career, and I was, my career had ended a while ago. So we decided to kind of build our brand. So now the two kind of merged. We built our Moore Brothers basketball, which started off slow at first, but has since grown, man, into a very lucrative company to where, like you just said, where it's become known by certain guys like Al Williams and Billy Owens. And I think because we do it the right way, that it's become a mainstay locally. Like we have a name, a reputation. And then again, like I said, I've been in education for 10 years now, and it's just been a great marriage, man. And all began because I'm on my mom's couch with my leg up, thinking about what's next for me. And I am a believer not to dwell on certain things, man. I'm a huge believer on things happen for a reason. I'm a huge believer in when you hit the ground, man, you got to bounce up like round ball. Um, and that's what I did. I didn't sulk too long, although it was a life-changing thing that happened. But I think I found my niche. I found my passion. And happy to share that story with you here today.
I appreciate you allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I know for men, especially black men,
Mhm.
it is hard to um, tell the story, especially when we all have dreams,
Yeah.
and for some reason, our there are forces out there that are not part of their dreams that prevent us from doing that. And some of us just fall apart, but not you, man. You didn't fall apart. All right. Matter of fact, every single day that I see you, got a smile on your face, and
Oh, and it's on purpose, man. I think that, and I hope that every time someone sees me, that's what they see. They see a guy that is always warm and welcoming, um, and understands that, somebody can be worse off in life. And I want to
yeah,
be invited, man, when that person feels the need to come talk to me. You've been that for me. Whenever you see my face kind of not how it used to be, I know you caught me sometimes without that smile, and you'll walk up to me. It's going to be all right. And that's a guy with wisdom and experience who knows the trials and tribulations we go through as men, and particularly black men. Um, you've always picked up on those little things with me. That's why I've always been appreciative. But I think no matter what goes on, man, you got to smile through it. Um, it's always a new day, right? That sun gonna come up tomorrow. Um, and as long as you keep that mindset, man, each and every day, I think you overcome those things that can be troublesome in life, and we all face them. You know it, Kev. We all face them.
yeah,
So
yeah, we do.
so my smile is one I always want to be recognized by.
So and I would tell you, you got all 32 teeth. So I'm gonna keep smiling while you got them. All right, keep it up.
Thank
You got
you.
$1 million smile because what I see in your future, and I'm going to cross my fingers that hopefully some people like a good friend of mine, Shay Kelly of the WNBA. I
Yeah.
hope Don Staley. They
Uh,
see this interview and say, look, when they're looking at people that they want to sit down and talk to,
right.
that they look at Chuck, Charles Moore, OORE,
Right. Right.
and say, let's bring him in. And the reason why I say this because your story is just like Deion Sanders.
Uh,
Only difference is the shape of the ball. And see,
yeah.
when
Yeah.
I talk about you're going through a system when your product is a product that wakes up and doesn't know if they're going to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, a
Yeah.
product that doesn't know that if they're going to make it in and out of their neighborhood safe, a product that has a system that is skewed against them. And not everyone's going to make it to the NBA. Not everyone's going to go to a D1 school and maybe a two or three. But when they have someone like a Mr. Chuck Moore or Charles Moore the third in their corner, you
Yeah.
make people believe not only that they can run, but you make people, and I've seen you talk to people,
Mm,
you make them believe they can fly.
mm,
So before I ask the next question, going on to talk about all the questions I want to do this show, you mentioned three people that are very important to you.
yeah.
And one of the things that I know as a father, a lot of times we don't say the things to our children that we want to say while we're here with them.
Yes.
And we normally leave notes or clues after we're gone. So you have China. And I know if I asked you which one was your favorite, um, you would probably say, I don't know what you would say. Which one of your kids are your favorite? Go.
Don't do that to me. They're gonna watch this later, man, and that's gonna be some backlash to whatever name I say. I'm gonna say I love all three of them equally, man. They all have their own little, you know, quirky personalities, man, that make me smile. It's funny because I find myself, Kev, at night, especially with my young ones, just looking at them, just looking at them play with each other, looking at their personalities, and I just smile. Um, and I've always wanted a son. So just looking at him run around, man, he's a terror too. And
Yeah.
those things where you probably can relate to it, man. Even if he does something wrong, I'm over there like, yeah, that's my boy. You know what I mean? Just because he's just carefree in his movement, and it's just so happy for me to see, and just ecstatic that I have a boy. But all three equally, man, because they've all brought stuff to the table that has made me a better person, a better man, um, a better father. And with
Yeah.
my wife, man, she makes me a better husband. So each day, no lie, man, I wake up and I just thank God for the opportunity. And the first thing I say is, I want to make sure that I'm walking in a way that inspires them. So that's my challenge to myself every day, man, to walk in that path to make sure they happy to see their dad.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going back a little bit because you keep mentioning Dawn Staley. Now, if this is a prerequisite for an interview, so be it. I'd be happy to work in the WNBA at any capacity. But Dawn Staley went to Dobbins High School.
Hmm.
My mother teaches at Dobbins High
That's
School.
high school.
She's been there for a long-standing amount of years, and that's where she's currently working at now. So she's had her run-ins with Dawn Staley. Matter of fact, man, I'm so impressed with my mom. And it's so funny, Kevin. Mom and dads don't really get the credit from enough credit from their children. Here's why I
Right.
say that. I've always looked at my mom, that's just my mom. Meanwhile, someone else, a friend of mine or outside of our family bubble would say, "Oh, Miss Baker," my mom's last name. "Man, she got me through and she was the best person ever to talk to." I'm looking at them like, who? My mom? Like I never had that vision of my mom, right? Constantly supporting people outside of our family. And the impression they have of her is just here. Now my mom's impression, my impression of my mother's here as well. But the way they talk, I'm like, huh? As if she had a cape on. And she does. As I look at her from afar and see what she was able to do for certain people, man, especially in that area of North Philly, I take a breath. I'm like, man, my mom really is immaculate. She really did set the bar for what she wanted me and my brother to reach. Um, And Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, when you walk through a certain part of Dobbins High School and there's a Hall of Fame, you'll
Hmm.
have people like Dawn Staley. You got Hank Gathers. You got Bo Kimball, um, former NFL pro man who went there, played for the Colts. I can't think of his name. But they invited my mom last year. I mean, you have my mother's face as just as a teacher, an educator, up on that same wall amongst those names and faces that we're well familiar with, man. So Um, a lot of what I'm doing is because she kind of instilled it in me and my brother. So you're right. So if Dawn is hearing this, man, you know, holla at me, Miss Staley. But yeah, man, it's amazing how things come full circle as you keep saying that. I'm like, hold on, Dawn with the Dobbins, my mom with the Dobbins, a teaching there rather, and she's had runners with Dawn Staley as well. So you never know. I think the point of your message is you never know what could come about from something. So I'm just putting that out there.
Well, I always say one of my favorite quotes is always focus on the step, not the staircase. And
Right there.
so that's what you do every day. But the other thing you brought up, and I want to make sure I put this in the interview, a lot
Mhm.
of times we don't say to our children, because we are always coaching other people's children. And I know going through my first marriage when I was coaching at Phoenixville High School, and I would have the kids over, for spaghetti dinner, so we can watch tape and stuff when I was coaching football. You can't do that anymore because every time you have a private conversation with coach and someone in the outside ears thinks that something's going on, especially when you are a person of color coaching the kids at a school of another color. But I want to say this and ask you this.
Yeah.
And I want you to, I'm going to paint you a picture. All right. Because I know you vacation with your family.
I
You got
do.
three kids, and I know how important it is to kind of pass on knowledge that came from Mr. and Mrs. Baker down to
Yeah.
you, trying to teach you to your kids. And we think where kids aren't listening, everyone else's child listens to you. If you were to put a message in three different bottles,
Mm,
and on vacation, when you're long after you're gone,
mm,
these bottles wash ashore at the foot of each one of your child, starting with your oldest to your youngest, China.
mm.
And that note, and you're leaving a life lesson and something that you've always wanted to say to your child, but you didn't say before. And I know I do this to my children every single day. They hate it. Um, but when you're gone, they won't forget it. What would that note say to your oldest
Oh,
child?
man. Now this is definitely on the spot. Um,
I
it's a
do
great
that.
question. That's a great question. With my oldest China, it's I've always felt like, and again, me and her mother, great friends to this day. co-parented very well. We never got married, but there's something lost when kids grow up in two different households. And my oldest, unfortunately, had to go through that. Now, there was love in both households, right? There was no friction. Um, so she was surrounded with that. But I've always felt like she didn't get to have her daddy 24/7, unlike my little kids. And I thought that always early on hindered our growth together. I mentioned me watching my two young ones now, just looking at them play and looking at them grow and get older. But with her, it was on and off. And I've always regretted that. My message with her to be simply is, although she was loved by me and her mother, she didn't have the ideal household situation that I hope she can always rely on me in the moments we've had, um, and know that I love her to the fullest. And even though, you know, she probably needed her daddy in moments that I wasn't there, that I hope she realized now that I'm always there for her no matter what. Um, I always hold her closer to my heart because of that upbringing. And I'm probably a little bit holding a little bit more guilt than I should because I think she knows and understands that. But I want to know how much she meant to me, man, at a young age when I was still learning how to be a man. And when she was born, I also had to learn how to be a father. Um, so her message would simply be that: know how much I love her. Regretful of the time I wasn't there when she was younger. I hope she understands how much now I love her and how much she can lean on me whenever she needs anything. So I hope she understands that. And I bug her about it all the time to a degree, but I hope she understands that. I hope she
Doug,
understands.
you're not going to you're going to be surprised by this story because
Mm.
I've not shared with this because I'm always pouring into you.
Yeah.
But our stories with our oldest are identical,
Uh,
identical, except
yeah.
for my oldest is named Keisha. And
Okay.
you probably said it a lot better than I would probably have ever said it. And believe it or not, you talk about, when I hear stories of people being brave, and I
Yeah.
always tell people bravery is not going up and doing stupid stuff that no one else would do. Having the
Right.
courage in order to tell a story like you just shared with us.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be vulnerable as a man, which we don't do. And something I know your daughter knows the answers to all these questions, and I know your daughter loves you
Yeah.
over the top of the moon and back. All
Yeah.
right. But to hear you say this and to leave this for the rest of the world to hear, I'm going to tell you that love train is coming your way.
Well, I guess shoot, it might have. That's why that love train might have all the reason why my second daughter, the middle one, is named Love. Um, me and my wife were trying to come up with unique names for our both our last two kids together, and Love just stuck. It kept sticking. I'm making her middle name. I'm like, okay. And then right before she was born, I said, make it her first name, and we did that. And it just goes hand in hand with my last name, Love More. And my message to her was she embodies that, Kev. She embodies every meaning of the word, man. She is just adorable. She's just a cute little thing, man. She's huggable. Um, she loves her daddy. It's nothing better than her jumping on my lap when she's scared, or now she's whispering in my ear, right? She's saying she's whispering, but as loud as ever. She'll whisper in my ear, Daddy, I love you so much. I'm like, baby, everybody can hear that. I love you so much. I love you forever. Like, she's awesome. She is awesome. And my message for her to be like, just keep embodying what your name represents.
Right.
Because if anybody
That,
in the world is going to feel her love, it's going to be her. And
yeah,
she certainly is that.
you're gonna have to write a book. And I'm gonna tell
Shoot.
you when she turns 16 or 17,
Yeah.
and that little knucklehead boy shows up and says, I love you more, and you can be no, you don't.
No, you don't. Trust me, I'm gonna have my speech all ready for that man. Whoever show up at that doorstep, man, trust me.
Yeah,
That's gonna be intense. But she
yeah.
does everything, Kev. She is everything that represents the word.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, have you seen Saquon's Barkley's documentary?
I have to watch that. Everybody is raving about it. I heard it's good.
You got to say it. You can't watch it with your kids because he curses a lot. But the
Okay.
bottom of the story is going to be the bottom of your story because you're gonna talk about your son, and I'm not going to give it away.
Okay.
But you peel back the layers of your story. Like I said, none of us have original stories. All
Right.
of our stories just take place with different characters and different locations and how we react to whatever the situation is. And your story, Billy's, mine, Alvin's, Saquon's, our
Yeah.
stories are all pretty much interlayers. But the nice thing about it is that you show up every single day as the original version of you.
Right.
So
Right.
your little man, all right. Um,
He
let-
is
what's his note going to be?
yeah, he's a ball of energy, man. His name is Chance. So Chance Moss. I got a love and a chance. Um, he is a boy. I don't know how else to describe it, Kev. He is reckless abandonment with a smile on his face. Like he'll do something
Something.
bad and look at me and just smile, and you can't help but just smile back. And now you've forgotten all the reasons why you should be yelling at him, and he just smiles. He's definitely gonna be my wild child. My message to him was keep being him. He goes to daycare and he is active. They're trying to teach him to sit down while he's eating, because he'll take and eat and take off. They're trying to get him to be a little bit more less aggressive, because he plays hard. So he might push and shove you if you're in his way. Um, to the point where it makes you second guess some of the things you might be doing wrong as a parent. To I had to take a step back. I said, nah, let him be him. Like this is who he is. So my message in that bottle to him was, son, stay who you are. You'll find ways to balance I guess you want to call it aggressive behavior or just be over playful behavior. You know what I mean? As a
Yeah.
better word.
Yeah,
Uh,
let me go back real quick because I
yeah, yeah.
forgot to ask you, what's the message in the bottle to little love?
Well, just embody everything that her name represents.
All right.
Embody
All right.
everything that your name represents. Don't ever change who you are because that's what your namesake is.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just wanted to make sure
love
Mrs.
more.
Moore can come back on
Yeah,
me and says,
love
look, you went through all the children and love's not feeling the love for you
more.
right now, Mr. Macklemore. I'm afraid of your better half. 'Cause she's all muscled up in the gym and doing 8 cardio classes during the day and juggling those kids. Now, before we go on,
Yeah.
people are probably listening to us right now,
Mhm.
and they're going to want to know, how do we get in touch with the Moore program? How do I get in touch with Charles
Yeah.
Moore, the
Yeah.
founder, the teacher? Um, yeah, give us your information. How does someone reach you?
Uh, in the world of technology, man, and social media, it's so much easier to find me on
Find
Instagram.
me on it.
My Instagram handle is Chuck Moore 3, but it's the Roman numeral 3. So Chuck Moore 3. On Instagram, you can also follow my Moore Brothers basketball page. It's simply just that, Moore Brothers Basketball. On Instagram, you can reach us if you have a son or a daughter who plays. That's a young age and wants to play basketball or wants to have some lessons. You can certainly reach me in that avenue. And the only other platform I have is I'm on X. On X, I'm more Chuck, MORE_Chuck. Someone took the actual last name of mine already because I wanted to be more Chuck on X, but it's more MORE_Chuck. And I'm on that often. Typically, probably shooting out some motivational stuff, man, some inspirational, spiritual things I say on there because I like to put my thoughts down sometimes. So I use that platform to do so. But I'm always active on it. If you want to reach me through that, that's perfectly fine as well. So
All
those are my
right.
two.
You're going to be one heck of a WNBA coach, if nothing else. So I want to segue back to all that you do right now, and that was a beautiful share about your family, your wife, your kids, your story behind China, and so forth. So we got a chance to know you. But the
Yeah.
big question is, because I know that this came up in my household when I was coaching, is
Uh-huh.
that I gave more because the hours and a lot of hours are spent away from your family when you're coaching other people's kids. I gave more to to other people's children than I did my own, and I was confused. I said, I've worked all my life to give them a nice home, to provide them with that opportunity, whatever. And here goes someone that's in my camp telling me I'm falling short, confused the living crap out of me. So I'm going to ask you, balancing roles as an educator, as a coach, as a father, how do you balance these powerful responsibilities, and what lessons do your students and your children teach you in return?
Man, that's a loaded question, Kevin, because that balance is necessary and it's so hard at the same time. You understand coaching at Phoenixville, man, that you are spending hours, and now basketball and sports in general are 12 months of, you know, you coaching or impacting the game. Where and especially high school, you only get paid for about 3 months of that.
Right.
So here you are spending countless amount of hours outside of that pay frame, just to make sure a kid is getting all the attention he needs in whatever particular sport he's playing. And it's a tough balance. And then on top of that, I don't know if I mentioned I coach at Plymouth White Marsh High School. And obviously, my Moore Brothers program that we had multiple AAU teams. So now, for example, I mentioned before we got on that I was losing my voice because this past weekend I'm spending all day up in Lancaster at a venue called Spooky Nook, coaching two teams. Well, while my wife's back home trying to trying to transport and do things with these two kids, it becomes hard. It becomes hard. But I think that balance and finding that time is important. Kev, I'll rush home from a practice. If I have practice throughout the week, which I do, man, I'm always mindful of not overlapping my time because I want to get back home before my kids go to sleep so they can see daddy's face. Um, when I'm at work, obviously I'm giving that 7.5 hours dedicated to those students, man. But um, I make it a point now to check in with my wife to see how she's doing throughout the day. Um, and I try to instill in those kids, man, find that balance, man, because as you get older, you start to realize the more important things in life. Um, and for me, it's not money. It's about spending time with my family, man, taking memorable trips and doing memorable things. Uh, I now instituted us sitting around the table, man, just to break bread for dinner together. Um, cutting the TV off. Let's have some dialogue how the day was. That family time for me has become very, very important, man, because I know that's how I was raised in my household. At the time, and you can attest to this, we just wanted to eat real quick to get back to playing whatever games we were playing prior. I grew up in the Nintendo Atari era, so I'm like, all right, am I done now, Mom? Can I be dismissed? I want to get back to the games. But I didn't realize my mom was instilling in me those values of just sitting around the table, having conversation with your family. Not only do they help communication out, they just help you grow together. So I'm trying to instill that same idea to my family, man. And like I said, I think my wife knows that there's times where I will be taken away all day because of other obligations. But I think she knows on the back end, man, I'm gonna make sure I make up that missed time with her and the kids, man, and make sure that they feel appreciated and welcomed. But it's hard, man.
Yeah.
And again, you promote me for the WNBA, right?
Yep.
And now here I am spending countless hours down, right? At whatever venue. Again, we're just hypothetically speaking here now. But countless amount of hours from morning to night to traveling now to different cities, to where you'll be away from your family. So with technology now, man, being able to FaceTime, that's important. Be able to connect the voice and the face now, man, is helps the process out. But find that right chemistry, man, and not losing sight of, the family is important, Kev. So I'm glad you asked that question, man. It's a tough balance, but I try to make it work as best I can. Best
Yeah.
I
Some of us have it easier than others in
Yeah,
this business of making a difference to other people's children. Your wife was an athlete, right?
she was. She played field hockey at Kutztown University. She went to Lower Marion High School and ended up getting a scholarship to play at Kutztown University. And she was pretty good. She was pretty good. Again, when she shares her stories, they tend to bore me a little bit because it's field hockey. I didn't know the rules. I don't know what's going on. She has her stick down in the basement. She actually does some trainings, so I could promote her as well. When you hit me up, you can ask my wife about field hockey trainings. But she was an athlete, and I think that's part of our connection is that athletic background. Because we'll still challenge each other. I remember we were outside at some venue, and She said, I think I can run faster than you. I said, huh? Here we are, Kevin, in the middle of the street, waiting for somebody to say go, running up and down the block, man, to see who wins. I won, by the way, just to let you know. But that competitive nature, man, is something that drew us together. And to this day, you'll see her walking in Lifetime as well. Early morning yoga classes or doing something in high intensity training. So she stays very fit. And again, I think that's part of our connection is why we kind of just bonded and gelled together so well.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I put out there, especially when we're putting your resume out there for everyone to scrutinize, is
Yeah.
that going into the MBA and being a coach in that position, especially a male, a lot of times we get drama from our better halves of being away for so long or pouring into others when they think you should be pouring into them. But
Yep.
when you have another athlete in the house that knows the sacrifice that you have
Yeah.
to make in order to get you there, it makes making that decision a lot easier. So when you guys are looking for an individual, and I'm talking to everyone in the WNBA or even the NBA, when you're looking for someone of high value, high character, and family value, I've always said if a person will cheat on God, they'll cheat on you. But if a man rushes home to his family and they're his priority, how many
Mhm.
coaches do we see with their children at warm-ups at basketball and
Yeah.
whatever? 'Cause if
Yeah.
your kid yeah, if your kids don't see you working, they don't understand what you do for work.
I heard that. I heard that. Now you preaching now, man. That is invaluable. Um, and right, her understanding the grind does make it a lot easier. Um, but at the same time, she does want me to come home and see her and the kids and make sure they're doing okay and give her some freedom. I remember, man, just last night, I'm downstairs, I'm cleaning up after dinner. I can hear, Child, come get these kids. They're in the bathtub, man. Water's all over the place. And she needed me to tag her out. And it gets like that, especially with young kids. And she loves them dearly, but they were splashing water all on her and they couldn't care if she said stop or not. So but you're right, that companionship, that understanding, man, that communication, especially with someone who understands the grind from being an athlete is important. And she certainly has helped me chase some things while she takes care of home, but understands I know how home, but she does understand how I know how important home is at the same time. So now you're
Yeah.
right, man. Preaching, you're preaching.
All right. So I'm going to continue to preach while I've got the what is the pulpit or right now if we were in church. So when you talk about leadership through adversity, ensuring your story of having to overcome and
Mhm.
having a dream and having the rug pulled out from underneath you because of your knees and so forth. I noticed like played 2 years of college sports, injured and was afraid to tell anyone because I couldn't afford to go back home to nothing.
Yep.
Um, so I'm going to say to you, leadership through adversity. You've been a player, you're a coach, you're a mentor, and now you're a leader in the school. How do
Mhm.
you help young men and women navigate the challenges both on and off the court? Because right now, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Mhm.
Our children are going through some stuff that we don't even understand. We're sharing with them what the world looks like right now, let alone what they have to deal with going through each phase of their life, trying to discover or answer the question, why? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? And why is this always happening to me and not to other people?
Right.
How do you um, overcome these challenges? Because I know you have to coach female basketball players or athletes different than you do male. How do you navigate this?
Well, that's why I love my position as a dean of students, because I serve as a bridge, man, a connector between, student teacher or student admin or even student and their family. Um, and what I think my biggest strengths are is one, relatability. I think I can always find something I can connect with with that student that we may build a relationship on. If not, becoming an active listener. Um, and not listening to respond, but listening to understand. just a quick story to kind of highlight what I'm talking about. My mother always thought that I would be best suited as a black male in the city. So kids can see another black male, which is oxymoron in any capacity. A black male counselor or black male dean of students, you don't see too often when you talk about education. So my mom thought I was always best suited to, with kids who look like me and I look like them to impact them more. Because I just thought the opposite, man. To kind of go into what you were talking about, I'm raised in the city, but I grew up and moved to suburbia, man, when I was around 7, 8. And I moved into an elementary school, man, where I was the only black person in the building. Culture shock at its finest. But because of my upbringing, man, my mom and them raised me right, so I didn't have any problems talking or speaking or saying yes, ma'am, thank you, yes, no, please, and so forth and so on. But I always thought about that kid who might be in my position when I was young. So I work in downtown Coatesville area, and I'm in an environment where there's students who don't look like me. Um, but there's always one, right, that's
Mhm.
going to be there. And I could feel the shock when I say, oh, not a black guy walking. Oh, he's part of the administrative team. Ah, okay. All right. All right. All right. Um, so here he sees me, black male, in a position of what you want to call power or authority. And I feel like that is bigger impact, right? That he can see me in a situation like that to hopefully maybe pursue that position if he likes. Um, so I think my presence, man, has been a big impact in those communities based on who I am. I know I'm respectful. I know I can come off as an upstanding, male figure as part of my strength. And for those who don't or aren't familiar with seeing somebody like me, right? I want to dispel any stereotypes you may have at the same time. I want to be warm and welcome to if you do have questions or you don't see people like me, that you feel comfortable walk to my office and have a conversation with me to get to know someone like myself. Um, so my focus has always been on highlighting those who are undervalued, underappreciated, the kids who don't step into the forefront to bring them to the forefront because they feel comfortable talking with me. Um, and just open their mind and expand it, man, and open up doors and opportunities for them constantly. Like you said, it's that mentorship that I think that's valuable for these kids. And I try to instill that in every kid, no matter what the color may be. But my primary purpose is to be able to relate to kids. And if I'm not, be an active listener so I can understand certain experiences some kids go through. Those are the two heavy things I rely on, Kev, to build a connection with these kids, man, that opens up opportunities and mentorship and hopefully instilling some wisdom in them, like you've instilled in me, man, just going through certain things throughout your life. So, um, those are my two big hitters, man. And I think from there, everything just connects organically. Um, that's my biggest strength, okay, to be honest, man. Just those two things, being able to relate to a kid who maybe had a socioeconomic issue, maybe a single parent growing up, maybe an early father, like I was, maybe an athlete who got injured, uh, a multicultural household. You know what I mean? Mom or dad might be black or white. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. I think that are important for kids to understand and talk about. Uh, that creates a comfortableness for them to come to me. And then, like I said, on the flip side, just being understanding kids, being able to not respond to them because I think I know all the answers, but listening to them sometimes. So I think those two biggest attributes, man, are my two biggest strengths that allow me to connect with the youth today. Because you're right, they are going through some challenges. And they keep me young. I can't tell you how many sayings and lingos that have changed over time that I'm still connected with. We grew up with a different time where, the lingo of that day ain't the same as now. They look at it like, what? Oh, that's corny. They have kept me up to date on certain lingos and certain trends, TikTok dances that have kept me young as well. So not only are they learning from me, I'm learning from them also. But I think it's that connecting piece that allows them that comfortable, that freedom to kind of have those conversations with me, whether they're tough or easy. Um, So that's my biggest strength, man. And that's always my biggest goal to connect those dots, and everything else just happens organically. That's it.
All right. Well, this question is not a question I have in my notes, but you brought up something that made me think. And I always say education's not designed, to make you comfortable. It's designed to make you think. And I've
Yes.
always said in conversations with people like with you and some other athletes, both pro and non-pro or wannabe athletes and whatever, I personally believe, and you tell me the difference because when I wrote my book, Everything I Learned About Life, I learned playing high school football.
Mhm.
I personally believe that every high school, if you're a student at any public high school, every student, regardless of what your skill level is, should be part of some type of sports team. It could be chess, it could be backgammon, it could be racquetball, it could be football, baseball. It should be part of a team sport. And the reason why I say that is because when you listen to people that are passionate about passing on a legacy,
Mhm.
passionate about coaching through adversity, showing people what a leader beyond the color of their skin looks like, sounds like, and what it feels like to be led
Mhm.
and what it feels like to be part of a team.
Mhm.
I think every school throughout the country should have 100 participation of someone participating in a sport, no matter what level. You've been a coach. Am I just talking on the side of my head, or would that make a difference in the development of our young children going ahead?
I think so too, man. Because you got to also look at what sports eliminates is color discrimination. Your your whatever sport, and you play football, so you definitely know, man. You know you are walking onto a field of athletes who don't look like you, but there
Right.
for the common goal, which is to win a football game. Um, so they couldn't care less about your background. They couldn't care less about your education status. They couldn't care less that you live in different areas. Um, they're there for a common goal, which is to win. I think that just brings so much unity, man. So that's why I always encourage people to play sports. Not only that, all the other stuff, the intangibles that play a part. Those intangibles are, showing up on time for practice, right? Knowing you got to face some consequences if you don't. Fighting through tough times, some adversity. You go on a losing streak, and how do you get out of that mud, man? How do you come together to go back on a winning streak? The peaks and valleys of the season, the challenges you may have with the coach, which could be your boss in the latter years. All those things help build you as a man, as an individual, right? To deal with some things that attack you in life. I've learned so much from just basketball alone. Think about we talked about my knee injury, right? And me not having to play the game. That taught me to that there's gonna be some challenges along the way. Whatever career field I choose, right? It's not going to be an easy path. Every day we wake up, maybe we face some adversity. I heard something you preached on it already about just taking that step, right? Um, but that step also needs to deal with what you're focusing on at the same time. That's what faith is. Okay. If you want to walk on water, man, right? You got to make sure your focus is right, which eliminates the fear. The minute you start focusing on your circumstances, right, you're gonna start to drown. Um, I love that analogy, man. I love that verse, man. I'm not trying to start to be biblical here, start talking the word, but that analogy of Peter walking on water, man, when his focus was on who he should have been focusing on, right? He walked on top of his circumstances. The minute he stopped that focus, man, and looked at something else and let his circumstances, right, succumb and we started to drown. I think that's the way we all should walk, man. And again, people can have their focus, and I use Christ, and everyone can have whatever that their God looks like, man. As long as it's with great intention, if you walk in that direction, man, and focus on the right thing, you could always deal with life's problems and overcome it. Because life's still gonna keep coming at you. Notice the water ain't get calm in that moment, man. Right? It was still a storm. You were just able to walk on top of the storm, man, because you stepped out on faith and your focus was right when you did so. So, I think that's a lesson for all of us to learn, man, no matter what the situation may be. Life's going to hit you, man, but continue to focus on the right thing, whatever that may be. And you can step out on faith, which you preached about earlier, man, and be okay. So,
That's all right. That's all right. I'm going to tell you, as my brother Jay would say, he goes, "This interview is fire." It's hot. I had to admit this morning that I'm not as cool as he is, that he's cooler than me. I've been using some of his words. He told me, he says, "Oh man," he goes, "Oh, Frederick Douglass and you didn't talk that way." I'm learning. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question because this was a question that was asked of me when I was
Yeah.
in the third grade by Mrs. Nerdy at McNary Elementary School in Dayton, Ohio. She
Mhm.
had asked, when it comes to legacy and mentorship, I'm going to say this as you as a coach. Okay. What do you want your players slash students and your peers to remember most about Coach Charles Moore III, the man and not just the mentor?
I hope every player that I did coach, man, that I come involved with, understand that I'm just a regular guy, man, who's going to embrace them no matter what. Um, I I picked up a philosophy that I want to make you extremely comfortable to be around me, and sometimes that means making you uncomfortable, right? Um, in order to do so, uh, I want to walk into the gym, man, and like you said, with that big smile, with that big personality, and make any kid in any situation feel comfortable. Um, for example, I got an eighth grade AAU team that I currently coach. Quiet group. I knew that going into it. And my first introduction, my first practice with them, I said, fellas, I know you guys are quiet. My goal is to bring out your personality. Kev, it's the only way I think we can come together as a people, and certainly the only way we can come together as a team. Because the minute you guys hold on to whatever you're feeling or hesitant to ask me a question or hesitant to give a teammate constructive criticism is the means we're not going to have a successful season. And I hope I've done that. I hope these kids know they come to me in any endeavor in their life, man, and reach out to me and lend a helping hand. Life is bigger than basketball. That's the message I want them to know. Um, I want to be able to stay connected to you, even though that season's over, no matter what part you are in your life. I want to be invited to your wedding when you get to that point. You know what I mean? I want them to feel comfortable enough to reach out to me, man, when it's just not about basketball, but any family related questions, any husband, father related questions. Um, I want them to know I'm there for them no matter what it is. It's not just about them putting the ball in the basket. We're trying to create life experiences and lifelong relationships. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to ask you your takeaways, and I'm going to ask you the one question, and that I've asked 99.9% of some of the greatest people that's been on this show.
Yeah.
Uh, what do you want people to take away from this interview? Would you like that dramatic pause?
Oh man.
Chuck, I'm telling
Kev.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm never going to get a chance to interview Denzel. I'm never going to get a chance to interview Barack, but I got the closest thing to the two coolest dudes in here, and that's Chuck Moore. So I had to do it that way. I'm sorry about that.
I oh man, Kev, I think you walk in this type of way too, man. If you can inspire just one person, I think you've made the world a better place. What I want to get from this interview, man, is just to have conversation with you about the journey life has taken you and I. And I think when you share your story, right, someone can relate to it. And when they hear you overcome some things, when that story relates, it may inspire them to keep going. I think that's why you're doing this right now. It's certainly why I'm on your show. Um, to hopefully connect with somebody who has been in a similar situation as we have, and just to motivate them in any capacity that we can, man. So that's it. That's all I want to get from it. And if Dawn Staley want to hit me up afterwards, that's fine too. But
Right.
at the end of the day, man, it's about just impacting anybody, right? Who's listening? That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing that I know. I have a good friend that is a television producer.
Uh,
Um, with literally, no, not literally, she had zero experience in media. She actually, when she was discovered, she
Yeah.
was living in her car outside of Vegas, and she took on the job as an apprentice and didn't know crap. And she worked her way through, and now she is the executive producer of a television show, no college, no experience. And I said this one thing, I said, you're going to put LinkedIn and Indeed and all those places people out of business because you're always asking for these beautiful resumes. And I said, well, the truth is that every last one of us took on our first position having zero experience, no resume, but
Yeah.
someone provided an opportunity. And the reason why I wanted to do this show is because there are going to be a lot of names out there already that's going to have names attached to it with beautiful resumes and great relationships. And I know in professional sports, the relationships are better than your resume. I know. I went 5 times trying to be a conditioning coach for the New York Knicks, and they hired someone that had just graduated from college, even though I had Kiki Vandeweghe putting me out there to do it. And they went through the whole gamut. So, and then the reason why I'm doing this show is because I want to create that connection to your story to someone when they start to look at names and saying, let's give Chuck a chance,
Yeah.
Coach Moore a chance to be at the WNBA. Because I'm going to tell you, no one believed that the WNBA would be the powerhouse that is right now, and that will it's going to be. It's going to be bigger than the NBA. I'm going to tell you that now. I'm predicting that it's going to be bigger because the game is played at a different emotional level than it is for the game that's being played strictly for profit and ego. And
Right.
I don't mean to take away from anything on the W in the NBA, but I'm going to tell you the game is played different. That's the reason why we love American female soccer. So I'm going to ask you this question. And first, I'm going to say, Chuck, I have a list of 100 people and their secrets to success
Mhm.
that I would like to honor to add your name to. So with that, my question is to you, would you allow me to add your list to the 100 people that I've had on this show and their secrets to success?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Be an honor.
All right. The next question I'm going to ask you. If you had one ask, I don't want anyone to confuse my Midwestern tone to my voice as anything else other than ask. If you had one ask, and one person or someone listening to this show can make that ask come true. And the reason why I'm asking you is, and I want you to think about this,
Mhm.
I am going into 4.5 years of doing this podcast of talking with Kevin and Son. I've had 7 people to this day that have answered this question, and 7 total strangers has stepped up to the plate and answered and made someone's dream come true. A lot of us go through our whole entire life and not have one dream come true. And I had 7. The only other person I know that has this type of power, and I didn't know I had it, so it was by accident. So I'm not laying claim of ownership to it, is Oprah Winfrey. But she had the power of a big bank account to make that dream come true. I don't have that. I just have the fact that I'm connected to some very good people that they don't drive by an accident, they stop and help. And so while I'm putting everyone else on pause, I want to hear what your ask may be, Mr. Charles F.
Oof.
Moore the third.
I'm gonna think big then, man. I obviously as we talked um for this past hour, you could tell my passion has been education and working with youth and obviously surrounding basketball. I would love my own facility. I'm gonna act big, man. I would love my own facility. Not, and when I say own, just like 2 courts, maybe a little area with turf, man, and so you can kind of do some agility drills and things of that nature. I would love my own facility. I would, to walk into my more brothers gym and be able to train kids, to be able to run practices, to be able to open up to the public, to be able to host tournaments, things of that nature. Um, has suddenly become a dream and a passion of me and my brothers. Extremely hard to do. Um, being in Southeast PA, man, it's such a crowded area. Um, I feel like everyone's competing with everybody and everyone's on top of each other. It's been a hard venture to kind of pursue. And when you go and look at certain places, because obviously it has to be a warehouse type of place, right, where the ceilings are high enough. Amazon buying up everything.
Right.
Any that has high ceilings, man, and the features are right. Um, we've kind of been outbidded by large corporations, but that would be my passion, man. That's something me and my brother always had a vision of doing since we started our company. So that would be my big ask for anybody out there listening.
I know in the greater Philadelphia area, there are a lot of people that have foundations, and they have the ability to make this dream come true. And I'm calling on you. I'm calling you out. You
I
know,
hear.
um, do something good with the things that you've gained in life. Give something back. Provide another opportunity for not only one person, for the many people that the More Brothers program will be attached to.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone's going to step up to the plate and pass this interview on to someone that can make a difference.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, thanks for giving me permission to call you Chuck. Everyone knows you by Charles F. The third. I want to ask you your middle name, but I'll leave that up to you since there's three of you. But I just want to thank you for coming on the show. How do we get in touch with you, sir?
You can reach me, like I said, on my social media platform, Chuck Moore, Roman numeral three, Chuck Moore the third, Moore Brothers Basketball, my ex account, Moore underscore Chuck. Man, email address, moorebrothers.inc at Gmail, moorebrothers.inc at gmail.com. It'd be a great way to reach out to me as well. So three options, man. And I'll be waiting for all three options to pop up if they do. So Kev, I appreciate your time. I do, man. This has been a blessing. I know we talked about this for a while now, so for it to come to fruition, man, I'm extremely happy and thank you. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you, and I also want to thank you, the people that are around you that allowed you to share this space. China, the oldest,
Mhm.
Love, the middle, and
Mhm.
Chase. Thank you for allowing your dad to have this moment, and to your beautiful wife, Mrs. Moore. Thank you for allowing your husband to share this space and share his story, and then allowed him to talk about how much he loves everyone that loves him.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be in this world when you're not loved, but it's easier to make hard easy when you know you're loved and appreciated too. So
Mhm.
as I wrap up this episode, I want you to remember this. Success isn't measured by the number of points that you score, but by the lives that you inspire.
Mhm.
Mr. Chuck F. Moore III reminds us all that leadership is not about just about lifting others up, about building character and leaving a legacy that will outlast the game. Chuck, I want to thank you for showing up with your greatness, especially with the guidance of growth behind all that you've been through. And to our listeners, I want to say keep striving, keep believing, and keep connecting. And for those of you that are dreamers, someone help Chuck make his dream come true. I want to thank my sponsor, the Borough in Downingtown at 149 East Lancaster Avenue. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful place on three levels. Say hello to my good friends JT O'Brien, Keith Crittney, and executive chef, my co-host on this show. That because this is the reason why he's not on here, because he's the executive chef at the Barrel in Downingtown. And so again, my grandfather always said, when you get to a place in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And with that said, we're fade to black and we're out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.